This is Coach Toyin. Welcome to my live show. Today, you're going to have a powerful session. I'm super excited on today's topic, the power of culture. Okay, this is going to be fun. I already have my notes ready to go. If this is your first time ever, you're welcome to my space. Let me know where you're joining from. Feel free to introduce yourself through the chat. It's gonna be fun. So the power of culture. So let me quickly start diving into it because I have a lot to share today. Okay. So the first thing I wrote here, so one of the things, if you're new, one of the things you may need to also understand is that I'm a prolific writer. I write and then I speak and then I'm an author. So many of the sessions that I release publicly, there's a supporting article, there are more depths, there are more Q&A happening in my school at Toyin Umesiri.academy. So I already put my thoughts, the accompanying notes together that's going to accompany today's video. So usually when this wraps up, both the video and the notes and the questions and the introspections and the follow-up conversations, they all happen at toyinumesiri.academy. So I want to welcome you all. Janet, welcome as well. Feel free to come up to the stage if you would like to engage on Clubhouse. So the first thing I wrote here is that culture uses stories to craft identity. Okay, so the power of when I do videos is that as I write, I can explain the thoughts. I can go more in depth when I'm doing sessions like this. Okay, so that's why I love this type of interactive conversation because for every line, I'm very particular with words. For everything I write, listen, it's loaded. One sentence is loaded. Every word is packed with deep meaning. Okay, so with video sessions like this, I go deeper. Or when I'm teaching a class, I have PowerPoint, all kinds of stuff to really pass across what I want to teach. Okay, so today again, hey, Kabbalah guys, I see you. Miss Derek, I see you as well. Thank you for joining. So the power of culture. Okay, the first thing I wrote here is that culture uses stories to craft identity. Culture, identity, the connecting block are the stories. The stories we craft, loaded with messages, the stories we adopt that we use to shape our identity. Okay. And I'm going to connect this to commerce, entrepreneurship, wealth building mindset. I'm going to connect it all. Okay. Because culture, there's a culture behind wealth builders. That wealth builders will congregate and they build a culture. Your golf clubs, your yacht clubs, on and on and on. There's a certain culture, there's a certain story, there's a certain message that creates exclusivity. Okay? Culture is about exclusivity. People like us do things like this, like Seth Godin would say, right? So let me dive deeper into it again. Culture uses stories to craft identity. Those who belong, right, adopt the messages encoded in the stories. And they take on the identity, right, to express their beliefs. This is masterclass. Okay. So culture uses stories to craft identity, but culture in of itself doesn't just exist. Culture is about people, right? It's about people. It could be a nation, it could be a tribe, it could be commercial, it could be a social group, it could be a political group. When humans congregate, it could be a religious group as well. When humans come together and we form a tribe, right? I'm using hair quotes. The identifier that says this group is different from this group. Okay? Why are these people? This, right? It's like the boundary lines. How do you carve out people? It's a culture, right? Culture is a unique identifier of beliefs, way of thinking, and identity. It's an identifier. Okay? Because without culture, we will all think alike, believe the same thing, and the world will be flat, right? Everybody will be, there will not be top 1%, top 10%, top, right? There won't be all that. In your office, everybody will be the same. There won't be a different belief that says certain groups of people must be move into management position. Certain type of thinking will be frontline. The organization of people is around beliefs, skills, identity. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go deeper into this as well. So this is one of those sessions you want to share, like, subscribe, tell your friends to pull up. I like that saying, right? Pull up, pull up, pull up. Okay. So there's distinct identifiers of culture that it has to be defined. Okay? So you want to grab a pen. Number one, value. Culture, right, have a value mindset. There's some things we value. What do Republicans value? What do Democrats value? What do you care about? It's an identifier. What are you passionate about? Money making? It's an identifier. People who love to make money, listen, you find them gathered together. Those who are investing in real estate, listen, they will set up an event. They will gather together from all over the world and they will talk about what they care about. Real estate is real estate, baby. Value. Okay? Value pulls people together to, right? It's a connection point, right? Value. Belief system. If you believe what I believe, we will connect and engage. Right? Culture brings some form of similarity, things that bind us together, that keeps us up, right, together. There are certain things that keeps us apart. That's when you say they, we, them, right? What's the distinguishing factor? What do we use to identify we? And what do we need to use to identify them? Their value. If my value is family and you don't value family, then it's we and you. You are outside of, right? That's when you start seeing splits. Value system splits us. Belief system splits us, right? Religion. We believe this. You believe that. Guess what? That's a split. And those who believe what I believe, we share culture, we share value, we relate with one another, we connect deeply. Again, I'm going to connect this to entrepreneurship, right? And all of those things, right? Because at some point, if you belong to a culture, it could be a social culture, it could be a country, it could be anything. And if they are not going where you're going, and you're bound, you feel bound to a belief system that is in conflict with your future, you have to take some bold steps. Counterculture. Okay? This is where freedom and breaking out comes in. You've got to understand the culture you belong to. You've got to identify the value system of that culture. You've got to interrogate the belief system, because whether you like it or not, that stuff has gotten into your own. It's an underlying identity. It's helped shape your identity. And part of this self-discovery journey that I've been taking you on is helping you understand how you got to where you are, and then take this leadership position of interrogating your reality to say, oh, that's what culture has done. The culture of consumption, consumer culture. I'm getting there, you see? That there's a culture that says you've got to wear this type of shoe with this type of markings for us to recognize you as, listen, we love basketball. Let me keep going, because culture has symbols as well. So let me keep going on my article here. So culture has unique identifiers, values. What do cultures value? Listen, I always preach wealth creation, entrepreneurship. It's a culture, right? In my school, it's a culture of learning. It's a culture of learning. If you're not interested in learning, if you don't value knowledge, listen, you and I cannot connect. We can't connect. We can't connect. If you do not value knowledge, if you don't value wisdom, if you don't value studying, if we can, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, right? So if you value consumerism over productivity, over entrepreneurship, that's okay. You do you, we do us, right? That's it. That's where you start seeing the split. We decide that we care about knowledge to empower ourselves towards success. You value consumerism, so spend your way, look good, look expensive. Listen, do you? It's a storyline. You wear this shoe, you wear this face cap, that's where you draw your identity from. Fantastic. Other people draw their identity by asking this question: how many real estate property did you acquire? And there is a competition behind that. And they'll, oh yeah, I just bought this land, and they are doing competition on real estate. You are doing competition on handbags, shoes. Listen, I love nice things. I do. But I'm saying there's a culture that tells you your identity is in the handbag versus your identity taking on real estate property development. I don't know. You decide. I'll just tell you the things to watch out for. Okay? So again, let me go back to the beginning because I see some people just joining us. Okay? Culture uses stories to craft identity. Stories. What stories do you believe about who you are or who you need to be and how you're showing up? Because the person you are may be different from who you truly ought to be. This is where I talk about journey into self-discovery, your identity, your true self. Okay? Those who belong to a specific culture will adopt the messages as theirs. Listen, some culture will say we are better than them. So and you will see the people who belong to the culture rise up to act accordingly. Okay, so those who belong to the culture, a certain culture, will adopt the messages. You see this in sports. We belong to this team. This is our team. Our team is better than your team. Our team will beat you hands down. We are going for the win. We are champions. Right? There's a culture behind winning. Winners gather with winners. There's a culture behind limited beliefs too. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's this, it's that. You will see people who have the same belief system gather and form an echo chamber, and they will spread the same message over and over and over again until they believe it. And guess what? If you don't recognize the echo chamber around you and you don't break out of such culture, you did that to yourself. So values, okay, so those who belong adopt the messages. There are messages encoded in your culture, right? And those messages are carried around and perpetuated with stories, generation to generation. People like this do things like this. People like this do not get these types of benefits. People that look like you do not do this. People that look like you always do this. People like you that does this always deserves this. People like this, messages encoded in stories passed down. Right? And unknowingly, when you bite those stories, when you bite on the message and you make it yours, your identity becomes shaped by such stories. So, as example, if you feel you're empowered, if your community empowers you for success, listen, you will show up as such. If your community disempowers you, you will show up. If you believe it, you'll be like, oh, help me, please, help me. Because your community has weakened you by the stories they started cultivating. The stories you believe are the ones that shape your identity. Tweet that. The stories you believe will shape your identity. If you don't disrupt those stories, if you don't understand the stories that help you and empower you, and if you don't delete, you need to amplify the ones that empowers you and literally remove the viruses that make you weaker than you are. Okay? So stories, right? They're encoded with messages. When that message passes down from generation to generation, what it then does, right? It shapes identity. And once identity is shaped, you start expressing the belief, right? You start acting out your belief. You start showing up based on what you believe. You start buying things that you believe. You start putting your money where your Bible talks about where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. You start investing your time, energy, and resources based on what you believe. Why do we show up to church? We believe something. Why do you go for movies? You believe something. Why do you go for concerts? You believe something. Why do you show up to class? Why do you go to school? You believe something. Okay? So what you believe ultimately is what culture is shaping. Culture will shape you. Some culture will erode a particular identity, and it's systematic, and it's persistent. Before you know it, you adopt a new mindset. The entire people in that community or in that culture, in that community, right, or in that country, all of a sudden they start behaving somehow differently. And you're like, this thing didn't happen overnight. Trust me. That's where media is the vehicle for transforming and transferring stories. Media shapes culture. Media is a tool in the hands of culture builders because we have stories to tell, we have messages to pass on. We will take the message, we'll put it in the story. The moment you believe the story, you pass on the message. The message is yours. Jesus used this as well, big time, right? And stories are powerful. Okay, so I talked about values, identifiers. Culture has identifiers. I'm going to connect this. I'll keep connecting it to entrepreneurship, wealth creation, mindset, on and on, because there's a culture behind wealth building. And there's a culture, right, for of those people who are not doing the work, depending, right? So we'll get there. Any questions so far? I see Georgette saying alignment is the assignment. Well, what are you aligning yourself to? What mindset? What stories? What belief system are you aligning yourself to? Because that's the responsibility you now have. Because you cannot say you've not aligned yourself. You're already aligned. I talk in my program at Toyin Umesiri.academy, and you want to really enroll and do this work, is that nature, nurture, culture, they already have influence over you. It is the reason you are who you are today. You are a series of agreements and disagreements. You are programmed based on what you agreed on and what you disagree. You are a fool. Yeah, right? Your operating system is based on agreements, yes and no's. 0101. You know, in computer, I have a background in computer technology as well. You are a series of yes and no's. Everything you accepted as yours that was told to you, the stories, your right, parents, nurture, nature, culture, all of those things, they've shaped your identity as it is, as it stands right now. You are a reflection of what you believe already, of what you've aligned yourself to. Oh, I'm shy. Oh, this. Okay. If you believe it, then you are. You are your stories, you are your beliefs. Oh, I can't do this. Okay, good. Whatever you believe, that's you. Oh, this, all those things. Listen, you have to start asking, where did they come from? Why do I believe? Like, you've got to go back to the depths of where that story came from. Did the story originate from your true identity, your spiritual side? Or did somebody tell you you talk too much when you were 3? Did they shut you down? Did they minimize you? Did they tell you you were talkative? And now you agreed, and now you're like, and you're repeating that message to yourself, and now you believe it, and now you don't talk at all, and you don't know that they are messing with your money, because that the mouth, the word that God gave you is your secret to success. Now you are keeping quiet. Now you're not showing up. Why? Because somebody somewhere when you were 3 or 5 shut you down, and you believe them that you deserve to be quiet. Okay. Values. So thank you everyone joining. If you're new, I'm Toyin Umesiri. Feel free to call me Coach Toyin. I train entrepreneurs and government. I have a school, business school for success. Check out toyinumesiri.academy. I also have a platform for international trade development. I also teach international trade at Nazaru, Nazaru academy. So entrepreneurship, international trade development, and then I also work with government officials. So, okay. Identifiers, culture, value system. If you value knowledge, we can work together. If you discount knowledge, listen, if you don't value what I value, we cannot be in relation. Culture does that. If you value rock and roll, then you all go to the concerts. If you value real estate investing, then we'll gather. Value system bring us together. And then we form culture around what we believe as well. So, for example, toyinumesiri.academy, it's a culture of learning, right? So if you are not a learner, if you don't want to be a student of life, if you don't want to learn anything and you think you already know everything, don't worry. Just stay on social media, keep scrolling. So culture also has a belief system and a value system. What do I believe? What do we believe that they don't believe? What do we value that they don't value? Right? It's an identifier. Political culture. What is the difference? Belief. What we believe. What I believe about how the world should be shaped, how the world should be governed, differs from yours. So you know what? We are not sharing the same political culture. Our culture says whether it's big business, another one would say small. You know what I'm talking about. Is that what we believe makes us align with a group. And we will align with the group that believe what we believe, that value what we value. And then we will move away from people who do not believe what we believe and value what we value. Okay? So that's how it works. Okay? So I'm diving deeper. We also have language. Language. Culture has language. Write that down. How we speak. Right? It's a calling card. Like, it's a messaging. How we speak. So, for example, let's say culture, basketball, signs, shaking hands. Like, bro. There's a way we greet ourselves. I see you, right? There are signs. There's a language. Right? It could be a natural language. So there are cultures formed based on really a natural language. But there's also culture formed based on way of thinking and belief and value system. There is a culture based on English. We all speak English so we can communicate. So there are people who will be shaped based on natural tongue. Spanish, English, French. Okay? And within that culture, there's a language, there's a rhythm, there's a rhyme. Okay? There's also action, how we behave, mannerism. Listen, humans, when we are together, if you're in my school, very soon you start thinking like me. Because there's a transfer of belief system, there's a transfer of knowledge, there's a transfer of a way of thinking and being. Right? So when I do big things, very soon my students will start saying, oh, I'm doing this, I'm like, yeah, because there's a transfer of what I believe, that you're unstoppable, that you're the architect. So if you go to toyinumesiri.academy, be careful. Very, very soon, when you subscribe and you take my classes, very, very soon, you start saying, I can do everything. You become unstoppable. You become empowered to pursue all that you want. Yes, it's a transfer of culture, my own belief system. The audacity to ask for what you want, to price your product, to brand, to market, to show up for your future and your dreams and your legacy. I will transfer that. I will transfer that energy. I will transfer that storyline. I will transfer that knowledge. I will transfer the skill. You develop the skills. Yes. So if you think social media is not transferring something to you, think again. Where you invest your time and energy, you are adopting the micro messaging. It might not be overt, it might be covert, like social media will say, let's entertain them. You are being entertained not to think about your future. Those who entertain you and keep you focused on entertainment, they deprive you of using that same time of building the future. I'll stop that one because that's not the purpose of today. Okay? Kopala guy says, this is so true. People don't tend to think of culture in these levels. I hope folks are understanding the gems you are dropping. Pull up. Tell your friends to pull up. This is a game changer for those who pay attention to it. Let me take a moment. Lydia, I know you've just been here for a while. Is there something you want to react to? I see Jonathan, Penjishri, Ebuka as well. Anything you want to react to before I go on? If not, that's okay. I have tons of stuff to to keep diving into. Okay.
I would say go on. Go on, but it's just something that just popped in my head. There's a saying that says the birds will flock together, think together, behave together. So I hear you, Toyin. So go ahead. I'm interested.
I love that. So you said birds of the same feather. That's the say. Birds of the same feather flock together. Absolutely. What I'm diving into is to create an awareness so that you can also know what's here's the key. If you belong to a culture that is going in the direction that you want to take your life, then flock together, you will arrive sooner because there is influence and there's support. They are mobilizing you in the direction. Here's what I'm trying to call your attention to. If you find yourself in a community and in a culture that is not going where you are going, you've got to learn how to swim against the tide. It will take you more energy to extract yourself from that force field. I'm creating awareness today. You cannot tell me you are not being influenced. You are a function of your nature, nurture, culture right now. And your culture is why you are where you are. Because if everybody around you are investing in real estate, you will be part of that community. If your community are authors, they are all writing books, listen, you would have written a couple of books. If your community, they are wealth builders and wealth creators, listen, you would have made a ton of money. So if your community and where you are, they are not making money, they are not writing books, they are not being productive, they are not being creative, they are not in the movie industry, they are all job seekers. If you are in the community of employee mindset, listen, you are one of them, you'll be there. That's why one of the recommendation in my school, when you want to become an entrepreneur, one of the things you must absolutely do is break out from employee mindset, employee community, and go and invest in an entrepreneurship oriented mindset so that you can quickly start adopting the mindset that will help you achieve success as an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur and you are still doing life every day, you're spending all of your time with employees, you are slowing down your own success. You are seriously delaying your arrival. But let me keep going on. You see what I mean now. Kabbalah guy said that Gen Z language is something else. Yes. People growing up at the same time in a certain culture will also have similar belief system and will congregate around that. And the moment that is formed and shaped, behavior will reflect belief. Behavior is a reflection of a thinking pattern, a way of thinking. Once a culture can shape your thinking with stories, very soon they will influence how you feel, and how you feel would influence how you act. So no matter what you're seeing now, you're looking at action, this group of people behave this way, baby boomers, right? On and on. Where it started from is the stories, adoption, scarcity. There's scarcity mindset, there's abundance mindset, limited mindset, unlimited mindset. The moment your mind is oriented towards one way or the other, listen, your feet will follow you. Your mind is the GPS. It will lead you. Very soon you will show up where you didn't want to show up. And you'll be like, how did you arrive here? Guess what? The influence of culture seeped into your GPS. And then while you are sleeping, Bible talks about while men slept, there was an influence, there was a story, there was something you've adopted subconsciously that is now governing your life, that is dictating everything you're doing. So watch out for that. I'm just calling this out so that again you take charge, you get into the driver's seat, and you do this thing consciously. Okay, so value will bring people together. We congregate based on value system. So if you value knowledge, if you want to empower yourself, knowledge is power. You want to go to the next level, you want to achieve success. The culture in my school is one of learning, of studying, right? Of empowering ourselves with knowledge, with skills, with capacity, so that we can design the systems and use the strategies that will help us achieve business growth and success. We learn our way to success. We study our way to success. You don't stumble into that stuff. It takes commitment, tenacity, focus. Listen, you've got to want it, you've got to desire it, to invest in it. Okay. So I've talked about language, I've talked about behavior, actions. Let me talk about rewards, outcomes, rewards, and benefits. Listen, if there's no reward from belonging into a culture, people won't belong. Because culture is something you might be born into it, but at some point you look around you and go, maybe I want to break out. Maybe this doesn't fit in. So there are rewards to belonging. There's a reward. There are benefits. There are rewards. Listen, if we believe that we superior, okay, we're on the superior team. My soccer team is better than yours. Listen, we will celebrate. When we win, we celebrate. There is always a reward tied to belonging to certain culture, particularly when leadership around the culture knows how to bring the culture what the culture needs to achieve success. This governs like business groups a lot, right? Is that when you belong to a business group, guess what? You now have access to information that only people inside that culture will ever be exposed to. Meanwhile, another group of people, there's really no information in that group. It's empty, right? Because if you belong to culture of real estate agents, listen, you will be exposed to the knowledge that that culture holds. You will have easy access to the knowledge that is being shared and spread in that culture. And the question is, there are some knowledge that is toxic, there are some that is positively empowering. Cultures do that to one another. Culture can sell you a toxic story that is extremely destructive to your future. Yes, there are cultures that will do that to you. And there will be another culture that, listen, motivation, empowerment, right? Women empowerment. Let's go, we can do it. They are cheering themselves on. They are becoming more. They are gathering resources. They are getting investment. They are sharing how to get grants. And guess what? They've mobilized themselves and they are achieving more in life. Because when you band together based on a value system that is unifying and positive, everybody in that culture will help themselves achieve more. Birds of the same feather, like Miss Lydia said, flocking together. You better make sure that those feathers, right, they are giving you energy. Because when you are tired, right, when they are flapping their wings, they will carry you. In the moments when you are sad, your fellow congregates will say, don't worry, right? Like they will carry you. And then there are other cultures. Listen, they will crab. There's a crab culture. Okay, yes, there's a crab culture. There are certain spaces, certain mindsets. They don't want you to break out and they are going nowhere. So you take one step, they pull you back 2 steps. You take another one, be aware. And then decide what are you going to do. So what are the outcomes? What are the benefits? What are the rewards of belonging to a culture? Ask yourself. Social media, You feel entertained. Okay. It's giving you is it dopamine? You're feeling good, feeling good. What is it stealing from you? Are you aware? Your time, your resources, your energy. On one hand, you feel good, you feel excited, it's entertaining you, giving you visuals. You're watching other people live their life. Are you living yours? The energy time you need to build your own life, you are using it to skip scroll. Who is benefiting from that narrative? That's where we go into propaganda. That's another thing. Culture has propaganda to make the whole world believe, right, that they are the best thing since sliced bread. This is where PR comes in. Nations do this. One nation would say, we are this, we are that. Another nation would say, no, we have nuclear weapon. Don't try that. This thing starts at micro levels and they get, so you can apply what I'm sharing to your own, one-on-one friendship circle, networking circle. You can apply, but trust me, on the global stage as well, you can see it all. We versus them, our power versus them, our knowledge, our resources, our wealth, our capacity versus them. We are superior, they are not. They are, listen, it's all over. So what are the outcomes? What are the benefits? What are the rewards? Culture also has this identifier. What are we going to accept and what are we going to reject and what are we going to consume and what are we going to say no to? Yes, your food, what you like to eat, is shaped by culture. If you offer me something, I'll be like, no, thank you. But if you offer me something that reminds me, that is embedded in memory, childhood memory, that smell, that the culture tells me is tasteful, not that it's tasteful, but because here's the key, the same thing that you enjoy, to another person, you cannot convince them. They'll be like, what? That stuff? How can humans eat that? But you are like enjoying it. It's tasty to you because that's all you've been cultured. You've been trained. Your palates have been trained to believe that that is tasteful, and it is tasteful to you now. Another person whose palates have not been trained will not appreciate that. So, what are you going to accept? Cultures accept certain things and they will resist certain things. This stuff shapes policies at the government level. You see the back and forth. Voting. What are you going to cast your vote for? You cast your vote based on what you want, and you cast your vote against what you reject. Every single day you are casting your vote. Let's say your vote is time. You give your time to what you accept. You refuse to give your time to things you do not accept. Friends will say, let's go here. You'll be like, no, I'm not giving my time to that. The world will say, do this. You say, no. Right in my school, what do I say? Use social media. Don't let social media use you. You're supposed to be consciously accepting and rejecting certain things. Religion, Christianity, my Christian faith will say yes to certain things and no to certain things. Because if you're a city without walls, then you're not maintaining the identity of the culture. Because this is where we talk about boundaries and fences, right? A city without walls, anything comes, anything goes. Very soon they'll be watered down and the identity is gone forever. So how identity is maintained is the acceptance and rejection of certain things, right? Belief, series of acceptance, series of things we do not accept. So what do you accept and what don't you accept? Just think about that. Culture has artifacts, symbols used to express identity and beliefs. This is where brand starts playing in. Branding. You talk about branding. This is why you drive a certain car. The symbol shows the status. There's a culture behind those who drive this type of car, think a certain way, believe certain things, and act a certain way. And that's why you've invested your money in that car. Those who wear these types of shoe with this type of symbol, I see you. You're wearing the symbol I also wear. Our symbols unite us. You care about what I care. I'm particular about my shoe. You are particular as well. You have this color on the bottom of your shoe. I see you. I know how much you spent on that shoe. So I know you are particular. You are making a statement. Right? Sis, I see you. That shoe is fly. That handbag, is it this label or that label? What year? What series? We can see you by your symbols. Bible, Jesus said, by their fruits we shall know them. By your symbols, I know how much you spent and how much you care about how you look. And the moment we see those symbols, we're like association. We associate based on these symbols. If I see somebody that wears a cross around their neck, okay, let me remove that. If I see you wear a symbol, let's say I'm in a new city and I run into somebody that has a cross, immediately I go, are you a Christian? Right? Immediately, the symbols unite us and we associate those symbols with belief. They are recognizable. We adopt those symbols as a representation of our faith, of our belief system. Brand shows up in this dimension. Okay? There are messages encoded in the stories we believe. There are rhythms, there's sound, there's a movement, there's a way of thinking, there's a way of being, there's a way of flowing and moving through the world, right? That cultures adopt. There is even music assigned to culture, the sound of the moment, right? Rock and roll, they have music, they have sights, they have sound, they have a way of dressing, a way of looking, punk, all those things. Right? So a culture can be surrounded by sights, sound, rhythms, music, belief systems. They adopt it and it's their unique identifier. So if you are, this motorcycle company, I won't mention any brand names, right? Motorcycle company, it's about motorcycle, but listen, there's a culture. Boom, boom, boom. We tie our hair, the bandana, we wear the gloves, we wear the black jacket, and there's a music, right? There's a music that goes in as we're enjoying. There's a sight, there's a sound, there are visuals, and we are like, we are one. We ride our bikes this way, boom, boom, and then you do boom, 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 and then I do boom, 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 and then I say boom, boom, boom. Yeah. You show me your stuff, I show you mine. This stuff is embedded too in wealth creation. Show me your yacht. My yacht is bigger than yours. Yes, there's a culture of wealth creation. There are sequences, the things we repeat. There are themes, right? So I'm going to start wrapping up with there's so many other stuff here. The rest will be in my school. But I'm going to start wrapping up with the lens of wealth creation, entrepreneurship. I see Echo says, this is interesting. We fail to realize how our lives, thoughts, and behaviors are shaped by culture. Yes, that's why I'm hosting this session today, is that many people don't know how they are being influenced every single day. Okay, I see another comment. Let me put it out. Miss Kobola Guy says, this all ties into your teaching on how well do you know your customers. Yes, yes, yes. So yes, at toyinumesiri.academy, I give you all the tools, the A to Z of entrepreneurship. If you want to build a world-class business, you can't find a better place than toyinumesiri.academy. And Ms. Kobolaga has gone through that. Yeah, there's a workbook called How Well Do You Know Your Customers? And I give it tools to craft your messaging, to craft the identity of your customers, to get intimately connected with them, to understand their value system, because we congregate and we are magnetized. I talk about magnetic messaging. If you want to attract the consumer base, start with value. Don't start with, oh, buy my product, buy my this. Who cares about all of that? What we care about, we care about our own needs, our own wants, and people who send us a message that they can help us get what it is we want, things we value, on and on and on. So you want to check out toyinumesiri.academy for that resource. Okay, yeah, it's included in the 10-week business accelerator, business growth accelerator. So yeah, let me start connecting everything I just shared now to the world of entrepreneurship and wealth creation. So I want you to know today, wealth creation is a culture. It's a way of thinking, it's a way of being, it's a belief system. Okay? So when you think about America, when you think about Silicon Valley, the culture in the valley, it's like Hollywood. There's a culture behind Hollywood movie production. There's a culture behind manufacturing your cars. There's a belief system, there's a mindset, there's a skill set tied to all of creativity, right? Those who create movies, right? They congregate, they share ideas, they teach each other, they teach one another, they get better at it. Culture is formed to fortify you. Culture is formed to fortify you, to immerse you in a belief system. And the more you believe, the more you will act. The more you believe, the more you will act. All of a sudden, you become the full expression of your culture. That's why your parents will say, show the world the daughter or son of who you are. Is that you embody, even God wants you to bring his culture, to show up as his child. So culture will marinate you, You will be soaked in the belief system so that everywhere you go, you become an ambassador of that culture. Your thinking, feeling, behavior, all your words, you become a representative of what you believe. And that culture trains you. The culture trains you. The culture police, there's a culture police. There is a culture police. Any attempt for you to deviate from what you were taught as a child, you will see a resistance. It will yank you back. Any attempt to break out, it will pull you back in your mind. Because culture is strong. It's very, very strong, particularly if it started at a young age, at infancy. They started telling you, this is how you to speak, this is where you go, don't say this, behave this way, this. And if you become, that's why the Bible says, train up a child in the way the child should go, so that when the child is old, it will not depart. Culture is going to make sure you don't depart. Culture is designed to be in, like, to override your thinking, so that by default you are a representation of the culture you came out of. You are. So if you've not gone on this journey that I keep talking about, mindset, this, and you think that if you don't disrupt those thinking patterns, you can do this work, listen, don't kid yourself. You are up against fortified stories. That's why even in the Christian faith, there are some specific things Jesus will tell you, tear down thinking patterns that is in conflict with what Jesus is trying to tell. Because Jesus is giving you a new way of thinking, a new way of being, a new way of adopting. And he knows it goes against everything you've been told. So he's telling you, walk with me, walk with me. There will be other thoughts that looks like this. Reject it. And you have to do that stuff constantly. So wealth creation is a culture. There's another culture around poverty is a culture. Anything that has to do with thinking, belief, thoughts, patterns, mindsets, very, very soon, it will show up in how people behave, what they say, and what they do. And wealth builders say they speak differently and they act differently than those who have adopted a limited poverty mindset. People will say they don't have time, they don't have money, they don't have this. They are focused on lack. It's a thinking pattern based on a belief system and it keeps limiting them. Whereas there's another culture that says, I want to innovate, I want to impact, I want to do this. And they believe it. They don't have as well, but they are willing to go look for. So they will not accept that what they do not have will stop them from getting what they want. They won't believe it. They will fight. They will fight. They will pursue. They will pursue. They will become. They will become. And very soon, you see them successful. Two people can start out with exactly the same time, money, resources, but give them two different mindsets. Put $100 in the hands of two people with different mindsets. Tell them go and check on them in a week's time. You will see maybe the $100, what would that person do for it? It's going to be based on thinking and belief. What the other person does with the $100 will be based on thinking and belief. That's what I'm saying. And culture, I've talked about this before, is that if you're the first entrepreneur in your family, if you weren't raised by wealth builders, entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is the entry point. Entrepreneurial mindset is the entry point into wealth creation. Those who have built wealth, they are managing wealth, they are investing wealth. But if you've not built wealth, what are you managing? What are you investing on? Right? So those who were raised by other wealth builders, they've been immersed in a culture of wealth building. Those who are raised by 2-3 generations of wealth builders, trust me, they will make sure their children know the principles of wealth creation. So those kids, they will be speaking differently, they'll be acting differently, they'll be achieving differently. If you were not raised there, and you were raised by everybody that tells, oh, money does not grow on trees. Oh, there's nothing here. Listen, you have a lot of work, things to overcome, a belief system, a new belief system. And that's what I offer, right? Is that many are trying to do this by themselves, and you're up against a whole lot of thinking pattern, lack of skills, on and on and on. And guess what? The whole world is not helping you anyway. I'm saying help yourself. Realize that you need to build a new culture for yourself. You need to, I don't know what you're going to do, whether it's breakout, at least, even if it's not physical, mindset. First of all, rescue your mindset. That's the first thing you can do today. Start reading certain books, start taking classes, immerse yourself. And for me, Toyin Umesiri Academy is an immersive experience, right? It's an immersive experience so that a sense of belief, so that you can develop skills, so that you can understand the strategies for business growth and success. So it's a different culture. It's a culture of learning for business growth and success. That's what I offer at Toyin Umesiri Academy. The 10-week business accelerator, right, is the first journey of doing all this work. It's supported by mindset, right? Branding, marketing, sales. These are the skills for success. They are fundamental. The 12 strategies for winning, they are fundamental. And so you want to enroll, I invite you to enroll today at toyinumesiri.academy. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's it. I still have a few things here, but I'll fill in the gap and update it at toyinumesiri.academy, and then we'll have those. So that's how I do this. Is that, yeah, there's so much. Listen, if you want to learn, if you want to expose yourself, yeah, my academy is for you. But if you don't value knowledge, if you discount it, you discount ideas, you discount this, knowledge is too expensive, knowledge is too this, there's a cost associated to learning and not learning. That's why people don't count the cost of lack of knowledge. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Miss Kobola guy is saying, go to the academy. It will change your life. Oh my God. Miss Komola guy, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, we need to let's find time. I've said it before. You need to come and tell your story again, like because I can feel the energy, right? So it's go to academy, it will change your life. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I love it. Listen, I love it when others that have, you know, gone through this process, right, they can shout, because part of culture is we will celebrate who we become. There is reward in terms of who are we investing in the future. What does the future look like? The future version of me looks like what? Empowered, right? Empowered for success, wealth creator, right? The freedom of expression, on and on and on, right? And when you do the work and you become that, listen, you'll be free. You'll be free. You'll be designing your companies, and you'll be like, that's why I say those who are wealth creators and winning, they are not complaining. They are not, they don't, there's nothing to complain about. You won't find them on social media typing anything. They don't even have time to type. They are too busy counting what they are counting, right? It's the sense of hopelessness that many people feel like you're not in control, you can't change your reality. That lash out is real. But those who are winning, you won't see them. You won't see them. Listen, private spaces, they are raking in their millions of dollars. They are investing in, they're talking about portfolio. They're setting up appointments like, oh, what's the stock market today? You know, they're talking to their broker, like, oh, do we move my money here or there? Oh, no, 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 it's going down. Sell, sell, sell. Oh, no, 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 buy, buy. They are making decisions and managing their wealth. They are making more money, attracting more money. They are managing more money, and they are investing more money. It's a culture. That's what they are busy doing every single day. And so when you pull them, you say, come and scroll on social media. Social what? What is social media? What's the return on investment of skipping and scrolling on TikTok? You won't find them there. They will employ other people. You go and spend your time promoting my work on social. No, the culture of the well builder is every day making more money, managing money, investing money. That's the full-time job. Anything outside of that, they are not interested. They are wealth builders. They're not interested. So some people say, oh, scroll more content. I'm like, not all content creators are wealth builders. I've written about, you can find that resource at Toyin Umesiri, and I gave you a graph. Wealth builders know the value of content, and they will create content, they will buy content, they will use it to advance their goals. Content creator will create all kinds of content, and they might make only a little. It's a mindset, guys. It's a mindset. So every single day, listen, if your full-time job is not making money, managing money, investing money, you're not there. You don't belong to that culture. Because those who have a culture, they love money. Okay. Okay. Let me wrap this up. We'll keep the rest in the private world of one-on-one coaching. Reach out if you need that one-on-one support. I've done enough for public right now. I will take the rest to my private spaces. God bless you. See you around. Bye for now.